we doing, people?
I'm fucking properly excited to be here. I'm really excited to be here. You know I'm a fan of you guys. I always have been, and the fact that you're bringing me on the show is just...
I understand. I was like that once. I met God, and I was like, yeah.
Rich, we're that excited to have you back. There's fireworks going off.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. I do apologise.
Mate, did you see the electricity? I was going to say the electricity storm last night. Then that was over London. Are you sure it's not that?
The thing that looked like War of the fucking Worlds.
Yeah, that was not normal.
No,
I don't care what anyone says.
Do you know why I didn't think it was normal? Did you see this, Ollie?
No,
right. Talk amongst yourselves. By the way, people, you probably got this from whatever the title ends up being for this episode. But I'd like to welcome our guest, because we're dead professional, Richard Donaldson, world famous activist and social commentator.
that was really good, Lee. Well done.
That was. Thank you so much for that introduction, Lee.
Yeah, it's all right.
He's a pro at it, mate. He's an absolute pro at introducing people. What's been going on, mate?
Oh, mate, what's up? I left Restore today. So as part of, for anyone who's not from the UK, we've got a political group over here called Restore Britain. I left them today. Mate, I don't know how much you want to go into with it all. There's a lot going on.
Well, we've got a big American audience, and you know a lot of the Americans, they know who Rupert Lowe is now. You know,
it's through Elon Musk.
Yeah.
So
spill the baked beans.
Yeah, it was just I had a few issues for the past sort of few months with Restore Britain.
Actually, start from the beginning, just briefly, from in case we've got a new audience listening that don't know who you are. What's been going on? Because you started with the Great British National Strike, and then I know that you've been kind of headhunted by some of the political parties.
Yeah, and I don't know why, mate. I just started gobbing off online. So essentially, I decided one day to go on social media and start talking about the issues that we're facing in the UK, and I think the West in general, and a lot of your American audience will sympathise with this as well. If you've got Canadians listening, Australians particularly, like we're all seeing the same kind of like globalist agenda that's sort of creeping in across the West. And so one day I just decided to go on social media and start talking about it and talking about what my position was with certain things that were happening, immigration, net zero, all that sort of stuff. Kind of married up to the fact that I've always been a bit of a conspiracy theorist. And so I think, how would I word this? I don't think I was able to see further than, I could see things from a different perspective, if you like. I was kind of able to marry up, you know, conspiracy theory with the political side of things that we're seeing. So I went online, and it just kind of, it took off. I decided to get protests set up all over the country, and become like a political commentator on top of that as well. So yeah, there were a few political parties that kind of approached me, and I've realised that absolutely every fucking one of them is much of the same, to be honest with you.
Okay, so give me a little bit more with that. What's actually...
you want a bit of juice, don't you?
I want some juice, yeah. Fucking...
Because like, right now for the, again, for American audience, I would liken... Restore Britain to like Alternative for Deutschland, for instance. You know, in Europe, you know, they are the right wing alternative party. You know, that's kind of offering. I wouldn't say it's like a hard right stance. I would say it's more of like a classical conservative stance, I suppose.
Yeah, I would agree. I think most kind of right or so-called right-wing stances now are actually, when you look into them, they're just classic conservative values, essentially. Yeah. It started with, Reform UK, I think everyone will know who Nigel Farage is. They approached me last year, asked me to use my social media to push Reform, to say that like Nigel Farage was the best thing since sliced bread. I was put on GB News, Talk TV, news channels that are quite big over here in the UK. And I was kind of groomed, I suppose, for the first sort of couple of months. You know, I was offered like regular slots. And then when I turn around,
grooming in the UK, mates.
Mate, it's rife, and everyone's doing it.
So yeah, it was a gang that did it to you.
Well, the problem is they never called me back or took me for dinner. So they basically, they said, you know, you can go on GB News, Talk TV, you'll get regular slots and all the rest of it. And then they started to give them to me. And then when I turned around and said, look, I don't want to be part of this. I don't want to kind of sell out to Reform because I'm not fully convinced. I don't want to kind of... They were going to give me scripts each week and tell me what I could and couldn't say. I wasn't allowed to say the word invader anymore because like that was Nigel Farage's word. There were so many sort of like stipulations with it all. And in the end, I was just like, do you know what? No. So myself and like four other influencer types, if you like, ended up at a 4-star hotel. You know, booze and food paid for and all the rest of it. And it was put to us, you know, will you use your social media? Because I think they knew what was coming. There's been like quite a big uprising, I'd say, in the past sort of 18 months in the UK of people speaking out and saying, you know, I don't care if you put me in jail, I'm going to speak out. And so they kind of got ahead of the curve, I think, a little bit. And they said, would you use your social medias to push Reform, to say that you love Nigel Farage, that you think he's dead sexy? And in the end, I myself and a few others just said, look, we're not doing it. So that was on the Friday. By the Monday morning, I'd been reported to my son's nursery and wasn't allowed to leave with him. I'd been referred to something called Prevent, who are a counter-terrorist team, Child Protective Services. All my slots were taken off GB News. My first bank account got shut down. My GoFundMe. There was something else actually as well. I can't remember if it was around the exact same time. There was something else, but there was a lot, and it all happened. I remember you telling me
that you had an issue with PayPal. Was that it?
Yeah, so PayPal, my GoFundMe was shut down. There was a buy me a coffee because part of what I was doing was taking donations and then distributing flags, megaphones all out throughout the UK. Things like charity work. We've had councils in the UK now completely cancel remembrance parades for our fallen troops. And so I've funded those, made sure the insurances have been put in place and all the rest of it, and made sure those have gone ahead. And so I'd say kind of like a full-scale attack, as full-scale as you could probably go without locking someone up, was kind of launched against me because I think I was doing the activism, and then I said no to people who were also quite well connected as well at the same time. So yeah, just getting through life, boys. Now, just getting through life. Just wondering when the next thing's coming. I did get there was the thing with you, wasn't there, Lee, a couple of weeks ago. You kind of helped me. I don't know if you want to go into this on this show, but you've helped me with something on the side as well, haven't you? So you've helped me like set up a podcast and whatnot. And then there were a few things with you. There was, I think you were hacked at one point, and then was it something to do with something with Ollie as well? Ollie, if you tell people, I can't fully remember. I don't know if it was connected or not, but it was all it was strange.
We lost the Alien Addict, not this channel. I think they were after this channel.
I do.
And we lost Alien Addict for about... sorry, Nick. we lost it for about a month.
Yeah.
I think. Near enough a month.
Wow.
Or maybe it was 2 weeks, I don't know. It felt like a long time anyway, because it was a lot of slog to try and get it back.
And this was, sorry, just to jump in, this was literally within like, what was it, Lee? Was it like 48 hours of you helping me set up a podcast?
48 hours of helping you set up a podcast. We launched the first episode of your show. It was up for 24 hours before the whole show.
That was Ben Habib?
No, it was just...
No,
it
that
was the first,
that was different.
Yeah, it was the first one that Richard done on this new project. It was up for 24 hours and it was pulled down, and the whole podcast was pulled. It was pulled off all platforms. They didn't give us a reason for why it was pulled off, which was fucking weird. My bank account was hacked. Ollie's bank account was hacked, and the podcast was hacked. And I think that's...
They didn't manage to get to my bank account because I shut that down straight away.
Mine was.
Yeah.
I had to cancel my my cards and debit cards and stuff like that.
Sorry. I felt so bad.
I know you messaged me
it's
the next
fucking
day. You
weird.
went, mate, I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's not to do with you, mate. But now I'm thinking,
Is
motherfucker.
And the only reason the podcast wasn't affected was because I can still remember it. I was stood outside the gym, and I had my phone, and I essentially could save one thing, because I could see the stuff that was going on in real time, and I quickly set up a completely independent email address and attached the Daily Conspiracy Podcast stuff to a new independent email address. And I think that's the only thing that saved the podcast. I half expected when I logged in to our host to change it around so it was like more protected. I half expect to see like a completely empty page, or someone just clicked the top button and gone like delete all episodes or something like that, or delete podcasts, that type of thing.
Do you feel like it was a bit of a warning, or do you think it was just really like a couple of coincidences that all happened at once? Because this is the thing that it's very, very easy to be like, oh my God, I'm being targeted, I'm under attack. And sometimes there's just a reasonable explanation for it, but it kind of all came at once. That's the thing. And it always seems to. It never happens like, one day this will happen and then in 3 weeks'
within 24
time.
hours. It wasn't 48. It was in 24 hours. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it is weird. Like, it was really weird. I mean, even now, I've definitely lost like a load of passwords that I had were leaked at the same time. Nothing. I don't think there was anything that was actually of any importance. But like because I changed the important ones. It was those websites where you'll sign up for like one thing once, and like you buy one video game from this fucking odd website that you never go back to, and then that password kind of just sits in your Google Pass account and you never do it. Like, that password might have been breached, but the nothing of any importance outside of bank accounts and Alien Addict. But yeah, it was weird. I don't know. I really don't know. But I've been doing conspiracy theory stuff, and I've been listening to people that say things that like the powers that be don't want people to say, and seen what happens to them, that I really can't accept that it was just a coincidence for it to happen to your podcast, Ollie. Independent stuff of Ollie's, independent stuff of mine, and collectively what should have essentially been our show. That's too much for me. Yeah, of course it is.
It's
Well, they got my fucking address, everything. They got everything of mine.
Yeah.
So
who hasn't?
Oh, you're screwed.
Yeah.
That's.
No, I do genuinely feel terrible, mate.
I've got my little friend here to fucking look. That's what happens when you fuck with me. Yeah.
Yeah, Ollie has been boxing for a year now, haven't you, mate? You were telling me, so
yeah.
I feel sorry for anyone who tries to come through his front door.
Oh, fuck. His fucking ears come off. So that happened, and then you worked with Restore.
Yes. Well, I worked with Advance for a little bit.
Yes.
Which was kind of, I'm not going to say the cast-offs of Reform, but it was the people who saw Reform the same way I suppose I kind of saw them. There was Ben Habib who was heading it up. There were a few people who essentially were in Reform and said, right, this isn't what's being sold. It's not what it's saying it's supposed to be on the tin. So people moved across and joined Advance. I joined Advance. Brilliant people. Completely inept, in my opinion. It was very, very toxic. They were always at each other's throats. There didn't really seem to be like a long-term plan. So, God, I've jumped to quite a few parties. I just want someone to accept me. So then I decided to go across to Restore, and I joined Restore. And again, it was like a similar story. Everyone was absolutely amazing. But I tried to make the point that in the UK, so at the minute right now, we are, I think, very lost as a country politically, because you've got a lot of people who simply don't care about politics. You've got quite a lot of people who I think don't understand it fully. You've got a lot of people who are just so brainwashed by the mainstream media. And then I think there are other things, but I think you've then got a very large contingency of people who are just outright racists, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I joined Restore because it was saying what I wanted to hear. And very quickly, I started to voice my opinion. Now, I only joined as a branch organizer, so it was my job to organize a branch, to get it set up and then launch our kind of political activities within that area. And then I was going to be standing as an MP. And very quickly, I did what I always do, which is not stay in my lane. And I started saying what I truly felt and what I truly thought. And I said, look, I don't think we're going to win any kind of election here in the UK if we're just focusing on migration and Pakistani grooming gangs. And I was very quickly told, no, you're wrong. Like, leave it to the big boys. So I said, okay, held my hands up. I said, maybe I'm wrong. And we're seeing it now within Restore, where the primary focus seems to be on kicking out immigrants and stopping rape gangs. Yes, very important. Immigration is out of control. Rape gangs are an issue. But I think to focus on just those issues is, I think it shows like a political naivety. Me personally, and again, I could be completely wrong, but then as a conspiracy theorist as well, I'm like, is this like psyop politics? I don't know.
Clickbait politics.
I think, yeah, when you go through the social media I think we've spoken about this actually, Lee. When you go through like Rupert Lowe's, profiles, his posts, which we all know it's not him doing it. That's public information now. And when you go into the Restore Britain social media pages, again, it's not him doing it. It's the team that's doing it. It is very clickbaity, and I don't know. I just think we need something a bit more serious, So yeah, I handed me notice in today, and I've not actually mentioned it online yet. So I guess I better announce it before this episode goes out.
So, do you kind of feel like they're all pretty much the same? I like Rupert Lowe. I think he sounds like he's speaking a lot of sense. But I see what you're saying there with the immigration thing, because I heard, because so fucking Keir Starmer has now gone, thank goodness. Well, he's still around for the next 3 weeks.
He's hanging around. Yeah,
he's still hanging on like a fucking turd that won't flush. But one thing that Donald Trump said the other day is, he said, you've got the massive problem with immigration, which is what Rupert Lowe wants to sort out. But what about the fuel issue? I've not heard much of that. And, we've got all that fuel sat out there and nobody wants to fucking touch it because of the fucking environment.
Mm-hmm. It's a massive problem. All of these issues are deep-rooted, and at the minute, I think I was suckered in last year to focus on immigration and of course, the rape gangs. The thing is, our oil, for example, in the North Sea that you just mentioned, we allow, is it Norway or Denmark? I can't remember. You might know, Lee.
I think it's Norway.
Is it Norway? We allow them to come into the North Sea, into our part of the sea. They drill it, extract it, they take it home with them, and then sell it back to us at like 2.8 times the price. And then we buy it because on paper, it looks like we're greener because we're not the ones that are drilling it. We've been doing the same with our steel.
Exporting carbon credits.
Yeah, we've been doing the same with our steel. We export it to India, for example. They then process it all, much dirtier than we would do with our technology, and then export it back to us. And then we take that steel and we're now greener as a result in a country that contributes like 1% of the global emissions overall.
I am no more certain of any conspiracy theory than the climate scam is a scam. There's so many little things that people don't think.
3 blokes sat in 30 degrees rooms.
Yeah, but it's because it's fucking summertime.
Yeah.
That's and it's almost like we did a show yesterday talk about COVID. I believe that it's the same. It's the same type of social manipulation that's being used. So if you constantly tell people that the climate's getting hot, people suffer more in the same temperatures than they used to, because it's brought more to their attention. You're just bringing something to people's attention. Then you've also got the fucking issue that at some point where, like, when you see these global temperatures, like, new record here, new record there, they forget to give any evidence of how they're taking readings for this. And then you find out that when we get that hottest day of the year, there's like 500 different fucking like different measurements that they look at. Each one of those has a variation up or down of 5% of 5 degrees, something like that. It's not. It's like climate science is definitely not a fucking laser beam thing. Oh, you can top that off with, I think, the and I'm pretty sure this is how we do it in the UK. I think we changed how we measure what temperatures are, but don't hold me on that. But I know that the hottest temperature ever recorded on the planet was in India. What they neglect to tell people there was that at the same time that we managed to record the hottest temperature ever recorded in the world, we stopped taking ambient temperatures and started taking ground temperatures. Now, if you're going to take ground temperature in fucking India, then you might as well put the thermometer or the thermostat for the house in the oven and go, yeah, it's fucking 100 degrees in here all year round because you're fucking cooking bacon. It makes no sense.
I don't think they'd be cooking bacon in India.
Yeah, no, probably not. No. Do you know what they did like 3 years ago in the UK as well? So we used to have, and there'll be far more details about this online, obviously, but they essentially moved what we used to, what was it? What's the machine? You will know this, Lee. I know you will. The machine. Do you know what it's called?
Why will he know that?
Measure the actual temperature. Because he just knows stupid shit. It's weird. You'll say something really kind of niche, and he's like, "Oh, well, that's because 3.29% of." He just knows weird things. There's a machine that they use.
Ass.
Yeah, I think he does. He makes it up, and we're too thick to realise.
Just say it with confidence.
Gauge temperature. Sorry, guys, I'm just Googling mid-show. So obviously it's a thermometer. I know that Google, but what's the actual? So basically, right. Trying to ask Google, like, what do they use to gauge the temperature? It's like thermometer. They moved how they changed about 3 years ago. They changed how they measure the temperatures in the UK, and what they started doing was moving all of these like high-tech thermometers onto runways on military camps, so like RAF camps throughout the UK. And what they were doing was they were putting these thermometers next to the runway whilst planes were fucking taking off. And then what they did that same year was say, "Oh, we're having record temperatures," and they were compiling it all. It hit the news for like a millisecond, but it was a massive scam, and it came from, I don't know if it was like the World Health Organization. It was some big organization that basically said, like, you need to start moving these thermometers into these locations. They did it, and then lo and behold, the ambient temperature skyrockets. The whole thing's a scam. You're right, COVID was a scam. I sat in meetings. Obviously, I told you guys privately, I've never mentioned this on a show, but I'm past caring anymore, to be honest with you, now that I'm not tied down
getting
by
into the juicy
any
bit?
party. Well, fuck it, let's do it. In 2020, I worked for Downing Street. Essentially, what happened was we all got locked down.
Can I just say we've known this story now for probably a couple of years? Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I've signed NDAs. I'm part of like the Official Secrecies Act, like, but I'm past caring. I don't care anymore, because if we're not speaking about this stuff, then I feel like we're kind of complicit in it. And it's something that publicly I have sat on it for so long. In 2020, I was logistical supply specialist in the British Army, and there were 9 of us selected to go and work with Downing Street, essentially, during the so-called PPE crisis. And I was in meetings there with, Chris Whitty was there, Boris Johnson was milling about. These guys were not in control. They were not in charge. I can really break it down if you want, guys. I can go from the beginning. Yeah.
Go for it. Like, it ties in nicely with what we were talking about yesterday, because we did a whole show about COVID yesterday and the stuff that's come out about Anthony Fauci. So, like, fucking rail on with it. It's interesting.
Right, sound. So 2020, I am shopping in the local supermarket, and I get a phone call from a boss, from a CO. And we'd all been sent home for a couple of weeks. Essentially, it was a case of everyone go home, lock down, stop the spread, save the NHS, all that bullshit. So was off work for a couple of weeks. It was mint. We were having like barbecues and stuff in the army, getting paid full money to essentially do nothing, get fat, drink booze. And it was like the best summer. I don't know if you guys remember that year. It was like the best summer.
It was incredible how good the weather was. I've spoke to people like that before. it's almost like there's ways and means that we can modify the weather.
Yeah, it's all yeah. So I ended up nipping to the local supermarket. I was getting like barbecue supplies, getting the booze in, doing the weekly shop, panic buying, getting the toilet roll and all the rest of it, and following the little arrows on the floor. Otherwise, people would die. And I got a phone call from my boss to say, look, you need to come to work. You've got 20 minutes, pack a bag, only civilian clothing, as though you're going away for a week. Don't bring anything military. So I was like, right, okay, sound. Literally dumped my trolley at the checkout. I was like, look, I'm so sorry, I've got to go. It was dead dramatic, but I felt a bit like James Bond. It was cool. So I left and gets to camp. And we're put in a van, essentially in a like a 7-seater van, not a seven, you know what I mean, like the MPV people mover type vans. And we're like, well, what's going on, boss? What's happening? And the whole camp like shut down, apart from the guard who are working on the gates to guard the camp. Don't worry about it. We'll explain everything on the road. We're heading out. And so there was myself. There were 8 others, and then there were 2 kind of like senior members of the chain of command. And we're on this minibus and we're hurtling towards London. And we're like, what's going on? And essentially what happened was we were told that we weren't allowed to know until we got there. So we drove up to London. This was from North Yorkshire. We get there. And bearing in mind, at this point, I'm a private soldier in a logistics regiment. Not exactly like top tier. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you're not the creme de la creme of the British Army. And we get there and we pull up outside the Savoy, not the Savoy Hotel, the Strand Palace Hotel. The Savoy's across the road. So we pull up at the Strand Palace Hotel, and at the time, I don't know what it is now, but it was a 4-star hotel. In the British Army, you do not get put up in 4-star hotels. It does not happen unless you are like senior military. And we all get taken into the hotel. We're each given a key card each. There's the key to your room. Here's a set of car keys. You've each got, you've got a car each. Be down here, I think it was like 7 a.m, for your morning briefing. We're like, well, bloody hell, what's going on here? We all go off to our separate rooms, COVID, all the rest of it. So we're all put in separate rooms, which again is like, it just doesn't happen. And barely slept that night. Went down sort of the next morning, and there's a huge spread on. It's a massive spread of like continental breakfast, full fry up. It was like being on holiday. People in suits cutting about everywhere. And we have our breakfast. We're all like sort of coming down one by one, and we're like, bloody hell, what's going on? Like, what is going on here? And my boss, our CO, comes through and says, right, 15 minutes, we're going through to it was the briefing room, but it was the hotel's like conference room. Mm-hmm. We go in there, and there's some guy that I've never seen before in a suit, my CO, and then essentially my next sort of part of the chain of command. And we all sit down, and we're told we've got 48 hours, London is about to fall. And we're like, what the bloody hell is he on about? It was basically sold to us that there was a PPE crisis that was going on. London had 48 hours worth of PPE. We're talking hospital staff, care staff, paramedics who turn up, the police force, fire brigade, like everywhere. Like 48 hours, there'll be no PPE. It's then explained to us when the PPE runs out, healthcare staff will refuse to work. When healthcare staff refuse to work, the army will have to go in like full on. They'd then done these sort of like assessments where once that happens, public trust will fall so low that people will take to the streets. Martial law will be declared. Like they really laid it on thick. It was really dramatic. And so it never clicked at the time because I say much younger. It was only like 6 years ago. But I was in the army, do you know what I mean? I was in my 20s. And I never questioned, like, why was I, a fairly irrelevant private soldier in a logistics regiment, selected to go and do this? And everyone else was with logistics, and everyone else below the sort of the hierarchy, there wasn't a clear chain of command. It was like the bigwigs and then us who were all like privates and lance corporals. And lance corporals are like the second lowest rank in the British Army. And so I'm like, bloody hell, yeah, oh my God. Like really, I wouldn't say fell for it, but I think, yeah, fell for it. So we're basically, it's sold to us at this point. We've got 48 hours worth of PPE left. There is PPE in the country, but we just can't find it. And at the time, I never questioned it. But what happened was, or what we were told happened was, the PPE had been purchased abroad from China through government contracts government contracts that were led by people in government who had links to their friends in China who owned the factories who were making the PPE. You can go and Google this. It was things like FFP3 masks that were like standard. Things like Clinell wipes, which are just antiseptic wipes, the tabards, all that sort of stuff. And what they'd done was they'd secured the contracts. They'd started to ship everything over in the shipping containers. Then once it got here, the NHS didn't have a tracking system for stock, for materiel. So they couldn't do stock takes. They couldn't tell where any of this stuff was. They just spunked a load of taxpayer money on billions of pounds worth of PPE and then brought it to the UK and lost it. They didn't know where it went. So our job, the way it was sold to us, was to go round undercover, pretending to be area managers essentially for ambulance hubs around London within the NHS. And we were working for the NHS. Civvy clothes, which was explained to us, don't take anything military. And our job was to go round to these essentially.
Did they give you ID cards, like some sort of?
We had. I should have brought it all with me. I've still got it there now. I'm not meant to have it, but I kept it. I'll send it to you after this, Lee and Ollie, so you know. We got ID cards. Yeah, we were, the lanyard types and all the rest of it. Area managers, so to speak. And so we were basically given a list of locations of disused factories, storage depots, warehouses that just hadn't been used in years and were being used by the government to store all of this equipment. They didn't know where it had all gone to. Could we go around, find it all, take an inventory, and then they would come and collect it all with trucks, vans, and all the rest of it, and then redistribute it. And so we went round to these locations. We found all the PPE. We plotted it all out. We found most of it. We didn't find all of it. I've still got a lot of the paperwork, screenshots of all the paperwork, which again I wasn't supposed to keep, but I have. And we reported back. We said, look, we found it all. Job done. They said, well, no, because now what we're going to do is round it all up together. But that's going to be you that's doing it now. We'll hire you some vans. We already had cars. They hired us vans. And our job was then to go around, collect all of this PPE and send it to incinerators to be burned.
What?
And so again, at the time, it didn't really twig in my mind what was going on because I wasn't what you would call like awake at this time. And so that's what we did. We went round, we rounded it all up. We got it all into the back of vans. It was then come and collected through a different kind of like outsourced company, taken to incinerators and burned. And it made no sense. They then said to us, we want you to stay on past the 48 hours. And we ended up staying there for, I think it was like 6 weeks. And they said to us, what we want you to do is kind of restructure and create a whole new sort of guidebook for the NHS on how logistical processes should be done. I think they were doing it to keep us there for a longer period of time whilst everything kind of blew over. And I'll try and explain this as clearly as possible because it is really, really quite complex. What they did to us was, or in fact, I'll go through the ambulance process. If during COVID you fell and scraped your knee and you called an ambulance and they came out to you, they would triage you normally in your home. And during COVID, they completely changed that whole process. What they were doing was going into people's houses who had fallen over and scraped their knee and phoned an ambulance, taking them out of their homes, put them into the back of the ambulance and triage them in the back of the ambulance because COVID might be in their house. So it was to help stop the exposure for the paramedics. However, what that meant was that person who'd fallen and scraped their knee had now potentially contaminated that ambulance. In London, there are 14 ambulance hubs. And what would happen is they would take the person out of the house, triage them in the ambulance, put them back in their house and say, you're fine, go back inside, your scraped knee will be absolutely fine. They would then take that ambulance back to one of these hubs. The whole ambulance, whether it was the PPE, whether it was the electrical equipment, anything that could be removed, gas containers, for oxygen, things like that. Anything that could be removed from that ambulance was completely stripped out, sent to the incinerator, and then brand new stuff was put in, whether it had been used or not. And at the time, I remember we were kind of like walking about and seeing all this stuff and thinking, why that's stupid, surely. And then afterwards it kind of twigged. These are contracts that are in place. We've been told to burn a load of stuff, and now they're doing the same with all the kit that's in the ambulances and then fully restocking it. Why? Well, because it justifies buying more stock. It justifies more contracts. It justifies lining their mates' pockets even more. So I think the whole thing, there was so much more to it. I don't want to bore your audience with all of it, but there was so much. We were kind of like, and again, I don't know why it was a massive flaw on their part. We were kind of like, we were taken into meetings about the PPE, but then the people within the meetings, like I say, Chris Whitty was there. There was Matt Hancock cutting about. There was Boris Johnson. I saw Boris Johnson at one point in a corridor, and these people, they weren't running the show. They just weren't. It was men and women who would come and go in jeans and hoodies and kind of bark a few orders and then disappear again in like Skoda Octavias or Vauxhall Astras or Vauxhall Insignias, you know, Ford Focuses. They were kind of so unassuming, but they were the ones that were clearly running the show. And whilst we were in these kind of meetings, people were afraid. Like, I genuinely believe at the start of COVID, Boris Johnson, our government, if you like, believed it was a genuine threat. And then I think halfway through they realised that actually it wasn't. But they weren't the ones in charge. There was so much more, man. There was. I'm trying to kind of like break it down as clearly as possible without kind of rambling on too much. But I've got so much in my head to speak about. It's nuts. I can tell you the story. I know it's probably a bit disjointed for an episode. I can tell you the story about, you guys know what happened at the Savoy across the road from the Strand Palace Hotel. My friend who was stationed there. I won't give too much detail on him. But one of my friends was put on another work detail for the army at the same time that I was doing what I was doing, again during COVID. And there were diplomatic guests who were flown into the UK from, I think, if memory serves me right, it was the UAE. And my friend was basically working part of, he'd done a course in the British Army, which meant that he could do close protection. And himself and a few others were put on a close protection detail at a hotel in London. And whilst he was there, this sounds so far-fetched, I know it does, but I've got bits of proof that I can send to you guys, I just can't do it publicly. Whilst he was on, he was kind of working on the door, if you like, in reception one night, and there were diplomatic guests within that hotel, like I say, from UAE, who sent a runner down. They're called runners, and they go and fetch and carry and get things for these diplomatic guests. And the runner came down and said, the boys, my boss was promised boys, where are the boys? Really getting like kind of quite angry with my friend who was on the door in plain clothes, providing close protection for the hotel where they were all staying. And this is like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And he's saying, what do you want about boys? Like what boys? He says, my boss was promised boys, where are the boys? And so my mate, I think he was a lance corporal at the time, he might have been a private, he rings up to his boss who's staying in one of the rooms upstairs at the hotel, and he says, boys, one of the runners has come down, and he's saying, you know, my boss wants boys, where are the boys? And his boss, who was, I think he was like a brigadier or a colonel at the time, said, look, don't say anything. I'm hanging up. Don't speak to anyone about this. I'll be down in a minute. So my friend's like, right, okay, puts the phone down, completely like bemused, doesn't know what's going on. His boss never went downstairs to the reception to speak to this runner. The runner disappeared back upstairs, and then he and a few of the guys who were on reception witnessed a van pull up about, I think it was about half an hour, 45 minutes later, maybe longer, and 3 young boys got out, similar age to his young boys, which was around sort of between around 10 years of age. They got out, went into the hotel, and he still to this day doesn't know what happened to those young boys, and he signed off from the army within a couple of days, I think it was. So there was so much that happened during that time, and I'm not really sure why I've gone down this path. Sorry if I am rambling.
So did he leave the army after that? Was that like?
Yeah, he signed off. He
Was
left
that
the
why?
army. Yeah. He essentially he had young boys of a similar age, and he was just completely like. And the thing is this, yeah. And I'm trying to not say too much so that your episode doesn't get taken down and I don't disappear in the night. But all of those orders in London at the time, because so many people have been sent home, the entire chain of command, the entire kind of structure on how everything was working was not watered down, but we were working very directly with like Downing Street, and his bosses were working very directly with Downing Street. So for a diplomatic guest to say, where are my boys, I want my boys, and then for boys to turn up, you know, whether it was 45 minutes later, an hour, 2 hours, whatever, for them to turn up, that would have had to have gone through a very, very high channel. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And he very similar to me, he said, I can't work for these people anymore. It fucked with his head for a long time.
And there was...
Really
because I mean, I'm sure, did you ask the question, do you not think it could have been his boys, like his kids, like someone was dropping his kids off?
As in, is that how he was thinking of it in his mind?
No, I mean, if somebody's ringing through and say he wants his boys, like, I'm thinking...
No, so this, no.
Maybe that's my innocent side that I'm thinking of, you know, do you know what I mean?
So, yeah, I'm trying to be as clear as possible without saying too much. So this obviously this diplomatic guest, his team, they were from UAE, and the three boys that got out of the van were white British boys, who kind of were frog marched into the hotel by a couple of guys who were also white British, plain clothes. Whatever happened to those boys, no one knows. No one who was on that detail knows, because they just weren't seen again. I don't know where they went. I don't know what happened. No one seems to know.
So this is just one incident. This is just one incident. I mean, how much does this fucking happen?
Well, this is the thing. We know. I knew none of this at the time, and I remember when he was talking to me about it, I was like, I didn't know if he was like losing the plot or what, but I wasn't very awake, like I said. But this, we know it all goes on. We talk about like adrenochrome. We talk about like child trafficking. Do you know what I mean? We know that the Hollywood elite, you know, governments, we've got celebrities going on Ellen DeGeneres, literally bragging about the fact that they're using children's blood as beauty products. Like, we know this stuff is going on. Sandra Bullock, she did it. She's doing it too. You know, is it Jennifer Aniston literally bragging, oh, we had pizza, didn't we? Oh, yeah, we did have pizza. Knowing full well that Pizzagate had like just come out and hit the mainstream, well, not the mainstream, but I'd say mainstream conspiratory kind of channels. This
we
is
were saying
rife.
last night with the whole Epstein thing that, you know, that we got COVID. We've had all the alien stuff. We've had all the different... things that have come out in the news of late, and I can't help but think that some of what we're seeing is because the whole Epstein thing is on a much bigger scale than just Epstein Island. You know, I'm wondering if they're covering something so massive up that's just been going on for so fucking long.
We have to be so careful, don't we, as conspiracy theorists, to not read too much into things. And I can often find myself doing it and thinking, right, I need to take a step back here and look at this like pragmatically. I think if someone as powerful as Epstein is being kind of caught out, if you like, it's because he's being thrown under a bus. And I think all of these people who, you know, it comes to like, you know, Jimmy Savile, you know, I'm talking about people here in the UK now, Jimmy Savile, Rolf Harris, you know, Hugh Edwards, it's because they've pissed someone off, or it's just the best strategy at the time to throw these people under the bus, to give people a few scraps of meat, do you know what I mean? To say, oh, look what these people are doing. And I think
Ian Watkins is a perfect example of that as well.
Ian Watkins, yeah. It's...
Because all these things turn out to be like open secrets amongst like certain groups of people. Yeah, I think it's crazy, but it is one of those things where we're all we're also ready to go, oh, it's a distraction from something.
Yes.
But no one actually looks for what you're being distracted from.
This is it. I mean, I can't remember who said it on the show, Lee, but we had a guest once. I think it was behind closed doors after the show. They said something had happened. He said, you know, your reaction that you had from that, that's for a reason. You know, the reaction. So a lot of the stuff that's going on right now, and I see the reaction that I have as a father, and I get fucking angry, I get pissed off, and then I'm thinking, shit, I wonder if you can't trust that. I don't trust anything now. Do you know what I mean? And I don't want to say what I don't trust, but because it makes me sound fucking insensitive. Because surely that there's things that go on in the world that is true, that is fucking heinous, but at the same time, I'm wondering if some of the stories that come out, because there are so many now, I lose fucking track of it. It is fucking hideous out there, and I'm wondering if we've seen some of this stuff, and it's like that this story needs to come out now. Now this one needs to come out. Now this one needs to come out. Because we need to fucking lock this shit up. That needs to disappear.
Unfortunately, I think the grim truth is that there is enough, there's enough things because we've destroyed enough people. So I'd love to know when it's going to be. How far into the future we have to go, whether it'll be our lifetimes or not, where there is a real magnifying glass on social media and the wide adoption of social media that people take, and the real true harms of what we've done to the human condition with social media and for instant communication, just in general, the fact that there's no one you can't, pretty much, that you can't get into touch with immediately if you absolutely need to. Then you couple onto that things like, I'm as guilty of it as anyone else. Like queuing in a shop, first thing you do is grab for your phone. We have eliminated boredom, essentially. We have given people access to unfiltered entertainment on even entertainment sells it short because we've created new forms of entertainment. We've created TikToks, things like that. Things that it no longer does it take you like it used to be in the day where you'd sit down on a Sunday and you watch a 2-hour reptilian documentary because you wanted nothing to do. No, we've created entertainment for people that just have 30 seconds. They just have 30 seconds to be thrown something. I think about what that's done to people. I don't think we truly understand it yet.
I force myself now to sit in a room, usually at the end of the day, for half an hour before I go to bed, without my phone, without anything. And I really try and make a conscious effort to do it. I think, yeah, you're right. We've eliminated boredom, but I think boredom is actually it's a necessity, because I think it's only when you're doing nothing that you can really process things properly and think through stuff. And I think right now, I think you're right. We're being, and I mean hammered. 1 week's worth of news now would have been like a year's worth of news 10 years ago. We're being constantly just
just inundated with it.
Inundated is probably the right word, yeah. And I think they're overloading us purposefully. I genuinely believe that, because
I agree.
Internet now, like you say, it's so easy. If you would have explained to someone 30 years ago, 20 years ago, that you'd be able to just pick up your phone at any point and message your cousin in Australia, it would have blown their mind.
Yeah.
Completely blown their mind, right? And now we're constantly being inundated. We can't. How would I word this? If you're aware as a government, in fact, forget a government. I know people say them and all the rest of it. If you're the powers that be, and you're very much aware that people are starting to wake up, and social media is because
We
it's
talk about the
becoming
jeans
rife
and
now.
hoodies people.
Yes. Social media now is rife with, whether you like it or not, for better or worse, some form of conspiracy theory. It doesn't matter what news article drops, you will always have comments saying, this is a distraction, what's really going on? It's rife, it's everywhere. If you are the powers that be, do you try to silence that? If so, how? Whilst allowing everyone else to continue the conversation and not feel like they're being oppressed in some way. How do you stop that from happening? Well, you inundate people with too much, and you allow people to do what's happening right now, argue amongst themselves and say, this is a distraction. No, it's not. It's real. No, it's not. It's a distraction. And I think now I'm sorry to say it, guys, a lot of people in the conspiracy world won't like me saying this. Even people, I think, within the conspiracy world now are fighting out over who's more awake. And
I agree.
Yeah.
there's like a snobbery amongst it. And I think it's that division's being caused by the fact that we're being inundated, and I think people are falling for it. I really do.
There's something I want to cover tomorrow. Actually, James Franco's put a series of videos out, which are like UFO alien related, and they're all very strange, very 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 strange videos that he's putting out.
I saw something pop up of that the other day.
Yeah, and I saw people like that are like not big players, like large X account players, I'll say, saying, I don't think what this guy's doing is honest, and even if it is honest, I don't want him to be part of the community. And so it's you have this in all aspects of society now. It's not. It's almost like saying, I don't care if you're right. You just don't fit. And it's this weaponizing of news, this weaponizing of politics. I do think the whole, like, to coin like Douglas Murray's book, they are separating us through gender, race, and identity, and they're doing it really well.
Yeah, I mean,
too well. And you're right. It's happening everywhere right now. Whether it's on the activism scene, the political scene. A lot of people say to me like, "How do you identify?" No, they say to me like, "Are you right wing? Are you left wing?" And it's an identity, because I don't even believe in right versus left anymore. There are lots of ideologies. There are lots of beliefs that I have that you'd consider to be quite left wing. There are lots of things that I have that are right wing. And again, we're seeing this kind of, the moment people started, particularly in the UK and the US, the moment the general population started to become more politically active, more politically aware, it was like, right, we've got to make this about right and left. We've got to. And it just sort of happened overnight. I know we've always had right and left, but it was never really...
I mean, this for our American audience, this is such a thing that this is fact. I was speaking to a guy at work. He's from America, and there was no left. There was left and right, obviously, but somebody's neighbour who was more left wing, and the other one was more right wing. They would get along. They would joke about at a barbecue. They would make fun of each other. You know, now they're totally separated.
They're the enemy.
Yeah. I think that's by design. I think
of course
we're
it is.
supposed to be.
It started during COVID. I don't care what anyone says, right?
Yes.
It started during COVID, mate. They had people, and it was a massive fucking psyop, and it worked. They had people following arrows on the ground and then screaming and shouting at other people if they didn't follow the arrows. I went in to get dog food one day, right, in Tesco. You walked in, you turned left, it was right there. No. I had to walk up and down every aisle, following these bloody arrows, right? And one day I thought, I'm not doing this anymore. So I went against the arrows, the security guard, people in the supermarket, screaming and shouting, "Wow, what are you doing? You're not following the arrows." They had people snitching on their neighbours who they'd lived next door to for 20, 30, 40 years because they had their family round for £250 a go, and people did it. After COVID, everything changed, and then I that's thinking back, and I look into this quite a bit now. that's when things started to change massively. I think politically overall here in the UK, people don't care if people are gay or straight anymore, so that doesn't work. For the most part, people don't care if someone's black, white, brown, yellow, whatever. Most
I think
people
it's
don't
going
care,
the
so
other
that
way.
doesn't work anymore. The what? Sorry.
I think it's going the other way.
And of course it will, because when you push something, you get a pushback. People didn't care anymore, mostly about, do you know what I mean? We used to go and watch, what were they called? Drag acts. Like, it was comedy, like it was funny.
Yeah.
Like we all did it. It was just, we were able to laugh at one another. There was British sitcoms.
I've never seen
Love
Drag Act, but you do you.
I mean, mate, they're good. We had that. Was it? My dad's always in them. Was it Love Thy Neighbour? I'm joking. He's dead. Was it Love Thy Neighbour, where there was like a black guy and a white guy? They were neighbours, and like they like racially there were like loads of jokes between them. People stopped caring, and then it was like, fuck, shit. How are we going to divide people now? And I think that's what we're seeing now. And naturally, I think people are pushing back, and they don't even realise they're doing it, and it's making people more racist, more.
You see, I still believe. I think I'm before COVID personally. I think I'm in 2016. I think it happened when Trump took office, and it was during like the beginning of when the term culture war was really popular. The culture war is still going on. It's just a Cold War now. But the problem, as soon as you had somebody screaming at somebody that just had normal conservative values, and you start calling them a Nazi, then you're fucked. Because what you've done is on one side you've turned a group of people, and I'll be perfectly honest, in most cases on both sides, mentally ill people. You've took a group of people and you've told them that the enemy is akin to the most evil regime that the history has ever known. And then on the other side of it, you've got some guy that's like, I just kind of want people to speak the same language as me in my own country. They're calling him the fucking most evil regime that the world's ever seen. Yeah. It's like, well, how do you come back from that? See, this is the thing I have when it comes to this sort of stuff. I don't know if there is a way back.
No, there isn't. And this is something I've... Sorry, Ollie, go ahead, mate.
No, I was just going to say, it's like when you mentioned about the drag stuff. If you want to do the drag stuff, that's fine. Do it in a bar. Don't do it in a fucking playground. You know.
There we go.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying though? Yeah. They put that in our faces, and that became a thing where you see more and more videos of drag acts in front of children, and then people going, "What the fuck?" I'd never seen that before. I'd never seen a drag act in front of a child.
Yeah, and it made no sense.
Never happen.
Yeah, it made no sense. The whole Pride movement. It like the original argument for from the pro like homosexuality lobbies. The original argument, which I 100% agree with, it was gay people going, "We're not coming after your children. Nobody's trying to turn your kids gay. We just leave us how we are." And I think that is perfectly fair. But at some point, it shifted. Like the whole Pride movement shifted from. It's not nobody wants to like indoctrinate your children. It's like no, we're going to schools. We're going to go to schools.
But
and
we're going to talk to them. It wasn't. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, and then you see, I think it is because I know like far left activists, and they think they're doing the right thing because that's the way they've been wound up to go. They've just been wound up like those little fucking mice and set loose, and then the next thing is you have those people, just because of what just because of how it will work, they will naturally gravitate towards youth work, I believe.
Oh,
because
but again, it was when it was LGB, right, which is what it started as, lesbian, gay, bisexual. They weren't doing any of that shit. They literally had their fucking pride parade once a year. You know, they like everyone was already like 99% of the British public were pretty much accepting of the LGB community anyway. You know, people were like, well, to be fair, they've got good fashion sense. They tend to be quite good fun to be around. And to be fair, like, I've never had someone, you know, try and force me into doing that because they know that that's not my thing. Like, 99.9% of the gay community are absolutely, they're just, it was when...
There's still time.
Well, we'll see what happens, Lee. We'll see what happens. It was when it got hijacked by the BTQIA plus R2D2 3CPO
I was just
community.
thinking of R2D2.
They jumped on, they latched onto it, and they turned it into something I think it was never supposed to be. And when you speak to most gay people, lesbians, bisexuals, they all say, cannot fucking stand the BTQIA plus R2 3CPO on the end of it. Because they don't agree with going into children's schools. In fact, it's them that were lobbying with the Welsh government here in the UK. It's mandatory now that children from 3 years of age and older in Wales get sexual education where they discuss things like anal sex and how it's actually safer than alternative sex. They list it as alternative sex, and anal sex is the safer way to go. They're teaching 3-year-olds this, and it's them that
That's
have...
fucking bonkers.
And Google it if you don't believe me. Anyone listening, please. It's been completely hijacked, and it came at the very point when most people were actually already very accepting. It's because they became accepted that someone somewhere up there in their hoodies and their jeans went, no, we can't have this. Yeah. We need to hijack this and make it far more extreme and try and kind of create that division again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it got to a stage of we need to add something else to that. Do you reckon we could get away with minor attractive people?
Oh, I said it once. I
I
as a
don't
joke.
understand. Like, they'd be all covered in coal dust. Like, the hats aren't very nice.
Not in the UK, they won't, mate. Margaret Thatcher shut all the mines down. Fuck me, that was a really bad joke.
That was an awful... How have you guys got so many bloody listeners when Lee's coming out with shit like that? The fact that that's even a thing, like minor attractive people, and they have... Is it Scotland? They have to refer to them now in like legal documentation. That's what they have to refer to them as.
I don't know. It doesn't surprise me though.
Because technically it's a protected class now. Minor attractive person is a protected class in Scotland.
Scotland's just Canada now with more heroin.
See, I would have thought the Scots, because having a Scottish accent, nonce would roll really well off the tongue.
There you fucking nonce.
Yeah.
It does, yeah.
It seems to roll quite well onto it as well. But
they're actually... I don't know what's happened, but the Scottish were kind of known, weren't they, for being like scrappers? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And they just roll over and take it now.
But it's the same with Australia as well. You know, like during COVID that we talked about, like Aussies were always known as like being like straight down the middle, like, you know, honest with me, I'm honest with you, and it just they just fucking bent the knee.
How did they take a nation of hardened criminals and turn them into like pride waving, you know, pride flag waving fucking libtards?
I think this is the World War III. I said this to my dad the other day. I said, can you imagine? Because I don't know if you see much of this in China, Russia. You know, those are the only two countries that I can think of right now. But what if there's something... this whole thing was designed to crush the West. All of it. Weaken it. Divide it, weaken it. Absolutely fuck with it. and it's worked. That's the World War III, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely working. I mean, a lot of people assume, yeah. So, like, I'll use UK as an example again. We can go back to the West being destroyed in a minute if you want, mate. But if you look at the UK, for example, and it was the plan with America, I genuinely believe that when they were trying to get Kamala Harris in, Trump's, I believe, pushed right back against that. I think if Kamala had won, we'd be in a very, very different situation right now. But if you look at the UK,
so as well.
Yeah, if you look at the UK as an example, like, we've got massive decline in birth rates. As a people, we've become quite, and it happens. It happened with the Romans. They were the largest empire on earth. It happens where you kind of rest on your laurels a little bit, and you have a really good quality of life, and you expect, good, fair treatment to be like a right. You expect to live a comfortable life. You expect to be able to go to work and be able to pay your bills and keep a roof over your head, and maybe, go on holiday once a year. And you don't want to work in conditions that are too hot, too cold, too dry, too wet. And so that's lovely. That's how we all want to be able to work. But I don't think that's sustainable because the alternative is, when you're looking at, a government, these institutions, NGOs, the WEF, WHO, the people in their jeans and hoodies, they want a people who are going to be very subservient, do as they're told, and accept poor standards. This is what I genuinely believe. And when you look at the fact that in the West right now as a whole, in fact, no, let's break it down even further. In the UK, we're currently below replacement rate. White British people are below replacement rate. We now have more people going onto the pension, state pension, than we do babies being born in the UK who are white British. So we're not sustainable. So I'm not kind of saying, like, I agree with what's happening with immigration, but what kind of other alternative is there, really, if we're not sustainable as a people? I mean, they could make things much fairer, pay us a fair wage if they get rid of the illegals.
You could, if you make. Well, it depends, because what we don't know is we don't really know. Oh, sorry, I don't know. You might know. We don't know why we're not giving birth so many children. So, some people would say, "Oh, well, it's because there's too many people that are selfish, don't want to have kids because they want to enjoy themselves." I think there's a lot of people out there which would have more than one child if it was financially viable. I also believe that the financial strains that are put on people is one of the largest reasons for families splitting up, and then that in turn makes it more difficult for to raise multi-children families when you have those sort of family breakups. The sensible thing to do would be to facilitate that. I just don't understand that if we are in this sort of replacement phase, like, what does fucking Angela Rayner think's going to happen to her? She's not going to be protected. Do you know what I mean? She's like a foot soldier at best. And when the gates are drawn up and everyone else is left to deal with the shit, like, she's going to be on the wrong side of the gates. I don't understand why more politicians don't see this.
So, Angela Rayner's got a net worth of just under £5 million and a £99,000 MP salary.
Yeah.
So I think sense. A lot of these MPs, I know, yeah, a lot of these MPs, they do make deals behind closed doors. We know that. They also, once they get these deals, they start up businesses abroad and all the rest of it. But even if there was no logical reasoning for it, you can ask the same question of the hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of liberals who are on the so-called left who turn up. You know, I've put demonstrations on marches, protests before against, I don't know, illegal immigration, for example. And these people will turn up with flags and banners, queers for Palestine. And it's like, do you not realise what would happen to you if you took that flag to Palestine and waved it around in the street the way you're doing it here? I don't think they'd be the first ones getting thrown off the top of buildings. They just would.
Yeah.
But they don't think that far ahead. I don't understand it. Obviously, Angela Rayner, she's not thick. Clearly, she's managed to manoeuvre herself into the position she's moved herself into. But there seems to be this.
I disagree with that. You know, I think she's stupid. I think her in particular. I think there's probably a wider circle of people like her that I think are genuinely dense, that have been elevated to that position, because when push comes to shove, they're the ones that will agree. They'll say the right thing. Right now, Angela Rayner will be a fucking attack dog for is it Benham? Andy Benham, is it?
Andy Burnham.
Andy Burnham. She will be an attack dog when he gets in.
Possibly. I mean, no. I think she is. I think she is fairly intelligent. I think a lot of them. I'm not going to say pretend to be more stupid than they are, but I think they try to kind of exude this "I'm not a threat" persona, and a good way of doing that is to come across like a bit of an idiot, a bit like Boris Johnson.
Maybe,
but he did it very, very well. The reason we're not having babies, there's so many reasons. You've got woke ideology telling people in the West, again, it only happens in the West, that men can be women, women can be men. That the nuclear family is a thing of the past. Women should be going out and seeking careers and not raising children. If a man is masculine, if he's manly, if he does anything that could be perceived to be, that old school kind of I'm a man sort of thing, it's like, no, that's toxic. Right. Actually, you need to pack that in. Like you guys doing your boxing or your judo jitsu, yeah. It's like it's toxic. It shouldn't happen. Like, what, raised your voice, got a little bit angry, that's toxic. Like, you look at Western medication, for example. You look at the fact that in 1970 in the UK, the sperm count was 7 times higher than it is today, because of things like Western medication, because our diet's ultra processed. Guess where the diet isn't ultra processed? In all the fucking countries where they're bringing these men in. Like, there's so much behind it. Of course, there's the cost of living. Did I already mention the cost of living? It's unfeasible for so many people to have kids. We've got a second one on the way, and I'm shitting myself. I'm like, how am I going? Yeah, it's thank you very well. Yeah, thank you. It's a worry, because you're like, fuck, also the world that we're bringing them into, but like, how are we going to afford this? So
I spoke to somebody, a colleague at work the other day, about, because he hasn't had any kids yet, and he was just like, I just don't think I want to bring a child into this world. I'm like, you can't think like that.
But the thing is, that's what everybody has thought at every point in time.
Yeah,
people had.
I think you're right there. I think everybody's
people had children. People have children just after the Second World War.
Yeah,
like when cities were fucking dust.
People were fucking like rabbits through Vietnam as well.
Yeah, I think everyone said that. I think this. I never quite believe people that say that. That say, I don't want to bring a child. It feels virtue signally to me, and if it feels like a really fucking good, excuse for just saying, I don't want the responsibility. And there's been so many people like that. I cannot dare say to people listening to this podcast, if you are in and around that fucking 20 to 38 area, which I think I think 38 is probably still like it's quite late for having children, really. Just have kids. Like, it is the most fucking rewarding thing. And if people
right after this podcast, go do it.
Yeah, but people are going like, oh, I don't want kids. I like to go out on Friday night. Like I don't think we need to start a movement that says to people, if you can biologically have children, you don't, have failed as a human being. Your sole purpose as a biological creature is to extend the human race. If you, I don't care how many fucking orphanages you build. I don't care if you fucking crack the speed of light. I don't care what you leave behind. Regardless of what any of that superficial stuff is, your sole fucking job as a human being is to reproduce and essentially try and make the next version of you slightly better than the fuckhead that came before it. I don't think that said enough of that. Like it baffles me. Like if you're 50 and childless, you fucked it. I don't care what you have in the bank. I don't care what you own.
That might be some of our audience, Lee.
I don't care. I don't care what you've done. You failed.
I think you're all right. You might have not.
But he's right.
You might not have had the opportunity.
We look, as humans, we like to kind of imagine ourselves as being more important than we actually are. We're not important. We are one small link in a chain of life, okay? Our sole purpose as animals, if you are able to have children, have children. If you are unable to have children, but you're not too disabled, go and fucking adopt and help them have some form of life so that they can then go on and have children. Do your bit. Do the most you can to ensure reproduction happens. Because I tell you who is making sure it happens, Mohammed, when he comes over here with his 5 wives and puts 4 kids in each of them.
Everything else apart from that is essentially a driving license. I've always it was something that stuck in my head so fucking vividly on my own when I passed my driving test. So I'll make this make sense. Don't worry. I passed my driving test really late. It took me 4 attempts, and it was. I'll start from the beginning of why this took so long. I was able to get a driving license at 16. I went out and I got myself a provisional license. I started taking driving lessons. My driving instructor was my father's friend, and he was a good family friend as well. So I didn't have any of the bullshit where instructors are rinsing you for extra lessons and stuff like that. And I got to a point where the guy turned around to me and said, "You can go in for your driving test tomorrow. This is fine, but I need you to do your theory test." I'm a fuckwit. So what happened was, at the age of 16, I said, "I'll do that this week." Bye. I wouldn't get back in his car until I was 35. Because I just never did the fucking theory test. And then I did my theory test and passed it first time. What a prick. So eventually I passed my driving test. I remember being really fucking happy I passed my driving test. And then this sudden feeling dawned on me and said, "So is everyone else, you fucking idiot." Like, look outside. Every single one of those people has done this, and you've just pretended in your own little fucking head that you've done something cool. You haven't done something cool. You've done something that everyone else is fucking doing. And that's essentially the way I look at... maybe it's a bit of a fucking pessimistic way of looking at things. Like, I look at any achievements now as nothing more as a quiet pat on the back to myself. Like, apart from things that, like, leaving something in the future. I hope that analogy helps this situation.
It does. I want to ask something here, because we are getting to the an hour and 20-minute mark. So, a lot of people are saying, in the UK especially, that Rupert Lowe, Ben Habib, going against Nigel Farage with these different parties is going to split the vote. What's your opinion on this, Rich? Because I've seen you on you've been on Dan Wootton. I've seen you on there twice. You were on there the other day as well. I've seen you speak about
twice last week. Yeah. Maybe I'm being pessimistic now. I don't think it's going to matter. I think politically, I'm at the point now where I think politically we're beyond salvation. And I think civil war, or at least civil unrest, is probably our only outcome. A lot of people assume that if we get a so-called right-wing government in, we're all saved and we'll prevent that from happening. But look at how the left behave. I think if a so-called right-wing government does get in, the left are going to go nuts. And I think that's how the proper civil unrest will start. Or we won't get a right-wing government in and we'll continue down the so-called lefty kind of route, and managed decline will just continue. And that's really not very cheerful or helpful, is it? But I just think politically, I think as a country we're beyond saving.
It's
really
weird
sorry.
you should say that because the right seems to be, for me, maybe it's just because I'm looking at a lot of right-leaning things, the more civilized group of protesters or whatever to what you would see from the left. And this seems by design. You see this in America, you see this in the UK. They are fucking nut jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you why. I know why. Because the left is predominantly young people. Young people have a lower risk aversion than older people. So young people are far more likely to gather in mass and have that result in violence.
I think you see more young people now, though, coming across.
No, you are. But I mean, if we just look at a snapshot between culture wars to now, it has been a predominantly middle-aged and older, right-wing conservative side, and a predominantly 30 and under liberal, left-wing side. That's look at Chaz, right? You know when they took over I can't remember, was that it wasn't Seattle, was it? Where was Chaz? Remember when the left wing isolated that a couple of blocks, didn't they, and put barriers up like that in America, and I can't remember where it was.
I have no idea what you're on about.
It was during the Trump's first presidency. There was a load of left-wing activists essentially annexed a 2-square block. They took the buildings, they took the shops and stuff like that. They put roadblocks up, and they took over this and tried to claim it as a new city. They call it Chaz. The fact is that 40-year-olds aren't doing that. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's just not going to happen. That it is that risk aversion and the I'd say the naivety of youth. You know, the naivety of I can fucking fix this shit. And it's only when you get old you go, I couldn't fix this. Couldn't fix myself. So that's why I think the violence comes from the right, from the left. I do think you're right. I think it's shifting. I think people like Jake Monroe, for instance, are Jake Monroe. What's his name? Nick Fuentes. I think they are gonna get. I mean, Charlie Kirk to an extent as well. I think they are gonna take in a huge amount of younger people, because this is the arrogance of it. The reason we were most of us, me definitely, were lefties when we were teenagers.
Lefty Lee, it's got a ring to it, though.
Yeah, leftly.
Lefty.
But the reason for that is that most of the authority figures around me were conservative and right wing. So it is the job of the youth to rage against the machine, regardless of what the machine is, regardless of how correct the machine is. It is the job of youth to rage against it. And I believe that as you have now, regardless of what political party it is, because I think this is the difference as well. It's not so much political, whoever's politically in charge, although that does help. It is the social, who's got the social credit at the minute, yeah. And right now, the social credit is very much with the left. You know, is it if you post conservative content on social media, people, like a good chunk of people, will look down on you. However, people that don't even believe what they're posting on the left will post left-wing stuff because it outwardly it looks good. You know, I'm proving I'm a good person by doing this. You know, do you know what I mean? Like, fucking look at the flag. Look at the flag in the bio. Look how many jabs I had. And that's like the predominant social culture at the minute. I believe it will end up being the job of anyone at the age of up to, I don't know, like 12 and upwards now. In another 10, 15 years, they will be the ones that are fucking calling people queers and faggots, because it will be a way to push back at what came before them.
So we're going back to square one.
Don't underestimate class as well, though. So obviously age is a massive factor, but a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people overlook class, because
it's a good point.
What we're seeing is yes, a lot of young people are on the left. An awful lot of people are actually what you perceive to be on the right. However, they're from council estates. They're from beginnings that aren't as well off, and so they're in their rooms playing Call of Duty, unable to find a job, probably quite disincentivized, if that's even the right word. These so-called lefties who are younger they're at their universities, they're mixing with other people who are also being force-fed the same ideologies. When you see older people on the left turning up to these protests, kicking off, shouting, smashing things up, they tend to be like, you will have seen it yourself, they'll be like, you know, they'll own their own business, and so they don't care about the fallout, or they're retired already, or, you know, they're ex-teachers or current teachers or university professors that are going along with them. There's a huge class divide as well, and I think what we're seeing on the right is that it tends to be people from the poorer backgrounds who feel very disenchanted with what's happening, and rightly so, because it's their jobs that are now going, it's their communities that are now being flooded with illegal and legal migration. It's their healthcare appointments on the NHS that they can't get because they don't have private. I think it's more about class than it is about age. And I think what we're going to end up having is essentially your council estate lot, of which I am one, I don't say that as a derogatory thing, against those who are middle class and beyond, because most middle class upwards tend to go further left because they don't have the troubles that we have on the right, which yet, they don't have it yet, but they will. Because that's just the natural sort of order of things. I think
it's a fair point.
So I think you're right in terms of age, but I think class as well, yeah.
Class also allows the freedom to do things.
Yes.
That's if you've got look at the woman that's in prison now, that where she got 2 years for, was it 2 years for throwing the soup on the Van Gogh painting?
Yes.
Yeah, incredibly rich family. That's why she was able to make herself like a social media star of the left, doing what she was doing, is because if it goes wrong, it doesn't matter. Like if me, for instance, and my family, if it goes wrong for me, I don't fucking have a house or food.
Doesn't that go against a lot of their beliefs as well, like wasting food?
Absolutely. They're champagne socialists, mate. They come from rich... I mean, that girl in particular, I can't remember her name, but someone's actually traced it back. I need to look into this deeper.
Tilly. Isn't her name Tilly?
Tilly, yeah. She's actually from British aristocracy.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
So
It's
the fact that
wild.
It makes no sense.
Even just
whatsoever.
Tilly. No one from fucking Tower Block is called Tilly.
No. She'd get her head kicked in if she was called Tilly.
My mum and dad
100%.
had a cat
Because-
called Tilly.
It's a cat.
Yeah, that's not the same, Ollie.
I might call it Tildo, though.
Was she your Tildo, Ollie?
No, I don't like the claws.
Oh, did you see the thing in Hope Not Hate, guys?
No.
About the cat thing that I did with you guys. I'll send it you later. They put a news article out about me saying that I like to abuse cats because
No
we cracked
way.
a joke on our podcast. Basically, there was a running joke that you had ages ago. I don't know if you even remember this. And it was to do with Ollie and cats. And then you put up a post about a cat on your X timeline. And I put something like, "Oh, lovely cat, might I borrow it sometime?" or something like that. I'll send it you. I'm not explaining it very well at all.
God.
And
She's amazing.
yeah, so we're like abusive to cats now. That's the latest one. Yeah, I'll send
You
it.
They've
have-
not fucking heard me talk about fucking dolphins.
Dolphins, chickens, was it at one point? Like Ollie's had them all.
You have no idea how much I want to get and not for the reasons people are going to instantly think here. You've no idea how much I want to get a large social media following through this podcast. I would be such good value. Like, there is so many things I've said on this show tonight. There's definitely things I've said tonight that these people could try and use against me. And I like a fucking Ghostbuster style enemy. All their hate would make me bigger. All it would just I would fucking feed off it. Like I would be a straight Milo Yiannopoulos. That's exactly what I'd be. Milo Yiannopoulos with less cum.
I would think I'd do this. No, I'd fucking do it. As long as it was going to be safe to do it and there was supports in case it fell. I would hug an elephant's penis and let people take a photo shoot.
Not really sure what to do with that.
When I wouldn't know what to do with it either. I'd just give it a hug.
Rich, what I said made more sense, didn't it?
It absolutely made more
In
sense.
my
Thank you,
mind, it
thank you.
makes complete sense. Just to get them going at me.
Do you know what, mate? You have turned like I don't know whether it's it's age or whatever's going on.
Heat.
I can you know how I've always said like, Ollie, take us out. Like, you are full on fucking shooting your load just after the fucking business has started. You are prematurely Ollie taking us out like every fucking show these days.
It's because it saves my anxiety for me taking you out.
Richard Donaldson.
No, Donaldson. That's the one.
I always fuck that up.
You're
Don't I?
shit at my name. I don't know what it is. It's Richard Donaldson.
I know,
That's
it's
it.
in front of me. It's written in front of me.
Ollie's the smart one.
I know. Thank you.
I mean, I mispronounced a word. He wants to suck an elephant's cock. Come on.
I didn't say I'd suck it. I'd never get that in my mouth.
You try.
You'd fucking try, yeah. And if it didn't fit in your mouth, it'd fit somewhere else, Ollie. You'd make sure of that, wouldn't you? This has been nice.
Richard McDonaldson.
That's the one.
Can you please tell people where they can find you and all the stuff you've got coming up soon and when the next podcast's coming out, all that sort of thing?
Yeah, and I'm really sorry because I should have been doing more podcasts recently. YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, X. Just type in Richard Donaldson, Donaldson. Just type in Richard Donaldson, and I should be the first one to come up.
Yeah. Well, it's been fucking lovely having you on the show. We need to make sure that this isn't like you're back on sooner rather than later, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah. So it's nice. It's been a lovely get together. I've had a wonderful time.
I'm warm.
I'm warm.
Time.
I'm a bit tired. I just realised I got this fucking massive bruise on the back of my arm. Look at that fucking bitch.
Is that your judo jitsu?
Yeah, look at the side of that side as well. Oh
my God. It looks like you're not very good at your judo jitsu.
That was people's skulls.
Was it just being crushed?
Yeah.
Under the
You were going to say the sheer weight, weren't you?
I was gonna say under the sheer weight, but then I thought no, because that implies that you're fat. But I meant like your take us out, Ollie.
I mean, I will say this. Speaking about animals, and I think you're all. One of the biggest advices that we give. Advices, is that even a real word? It is now.
No.
It's not. But the biggest piece of advice is, I think, for people, populate. You fucking do it with your wife or whatever.
Go stick a batch up somebody. Is what Ollie's trying to say.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm gonna put something else
ask
out there.
First.
This is the shittest take us out I've ever heard.
Well,
please ask first.
If you're one of these people that maybe wears a tail, maybe likes to have a little litter tray in the corner and stuff like that, maybe don't have children.
Yeah, step out of the pool. Right, I'm with Ollie on this.
Yeah.
Furries, pronoun people, all of them, all of it. Like a penchant for like one of the 7,000 flags that appear to represent types of identities now. Sit this round out. Yeah. Which is fine, because to be perfectly honest, the medicine you're on is probably sterilised you, so it's fine. Let's disappear.
I've got so much sweat on me.